working for Amadeus, which is about 500 meters just across the highway here. And I look after mobile. We are at the epicenter of the travel industry, working with travel agents, hotels, airlines, and airports alike.
And it's a Spanish company.
Spanish company,
well
publicly traded on the Spanish Stock Exchange. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Juan García, country manager for Cabify for Spain. In case you don't know Cabify, we operate a mobile app that by just tapping one click, a private chauffeur will pick you up in less than 10 minutes in your home, drive you wherever you want to go, and charge you in a credit card, and you will receive a receipt on your email, as simple as that.
And hello, my name is Javier Gándara. I'm country director for EasyJet. So EasyJet is a low-cost company. Actually, this year is our 20th anniversary. And for the last 20 years, we've been trying to make air travel easier and affordable. And of course, technology played a key part on that. Actually, we were the first airline that started selling tickets in the internet, almost 20 years ago.
Fantastic. We're going to start with Antonio López, who's the CEO of Segittur, like he just said. And coincidence enough, Segittur is one of the most leading and well-organized public organizations in the Spanish government that gives money to the young entrepreneurs. And coincidence enough, 4 of us that are here on the panel today have received money from this public company. So really, I applaud it because it is something fantastic that really money is coming into the market, and they're doing much more to start with the young entrepreneurs. Antonio, tell us, from your side of perspective, now that you're in the public side and seeing so many startups, how do you see the Spanish startup market in tourism?
Well, our tourism market, as you have said before, it's very important. It's one of the most important tourism markets in the world. And we are now converting Spain in the best living lab for tourism technologies. Now we are supporting in Spain this new initiative called Smart Destinations. We are leading in the world. We are doing the, as we want to call it, learning by doing. We are learning as well with not only the public side, but the private side. We are learning with the private companies. We are learning with, and thanks to the entrepreneurs. And I have a short video just to show you what Smart Destination is and what Smart Destination means for technology and tourism.
Perfect. Let's put the video.
My last holiday started in front of my computer screen. And Jorge shared with me. Maria told me where to eat, and Jorge shared with me the places he thought I shouldn't miss. And then I started packing. I planned my trip in detail, and then I started packing. When I got to my destination, I was still connected, and I could fit the whole tourist offer in my pocket. In the shops, I found a mixture of local people and tourists like me. Antonio, a really friendly shopkeeper, told me that visits like mine help improve the economy and preserve the local traditions. I really enjoyed the food, traditional but with an innovative touch I loved. Manuel, the chef, told me everything they served in the restaurant was produced locally, and when searching for experiences, I came across some I'd never seen before in similar destinations, and I could take the best route to get wherever I wanted. Other tourists got to the same places just as easily and enjoyed everything just as I did. I was surprised to see that the destination interacted with tourists and locals alike and adapted to the needs of both. Didn't I tell you where I spent my holiday? I went to a smart tourist destination.
It's easy. I'm a professor too, so I'm used to talk for hours. But I think this video in 1.5 minutes can explain better than ever what a smart destination is. We're talking about new experiences. We're talking about new people, new profiles of tourists that use technology in a very different way, with the smartphones, through the computers at home, smartphones and tablets during the stay. So they are using technology to get a better experience, to get a very more authentic experience in the destination. So we have to give them what they need, and we need the private sector, we need the entrepreneurs, we need the companies to develop this innovation so the tourists, when they come to Spain, they can enjoy this new experience.
And have you seen that in Spain in the last years, are young and there's new ideas, it's coming out more every time. Do you feel that more requests for funding is coming?
Absolutely. We started with the Emprendetour initiative 4 years ago. We have financed almost 50 million euros in 4 years. At the beginning, we started with just a few projects. In the last edition of Emprendetour, we had more than 100 initiatives. So it has been amazing how all the different companies and entrepreneurs have started to come to us to tell what they want to do and to sell the idea, and we have been supporting them.
I can vouch for that. It has been very easy project, a lot of paperwork, but not as much as before. And I have to say, they are very quick, and it's congratulations. Now let's speak to Natalie. Natalie, you guys have become, in Trip for Real, it's a fantastic success story. It's become one of the main platforms for peer-to-peer activities. Tell us something. Do you feel, how do you feel that the community can benefit from these platforms?
Sure. I think that with Trip for Real, when you think about this idea of supporting local economies and really changing and disrupting tourism ecosystems, what we're the most proud of is the fact that local residents, now in over 9 cities and growing, are really able to take part of what once was a very traditional sector. So both professionals, amateurs, and people that are passionate about a particular subject can become locals. And locals is the word that we use for a local guide. It's a peer-to-peer way that people that love their city can show their city with travelers from around the world. And what we're doing with this is not only are people able to make an extra income or extra money, but it's also bringing tourist dollars away from the tourist traps and from the, the most visited places in the city, and a little bit off the beaten path to neighborhoods that might not see as many tourists in the past. So we're really proud of how that's changing.
I think that's very interesting. Explain a little bit more exactly, for example, if a young entrepreneur in the city wants to get into your platform, how can they make money, or how can they do something that they like and also attain some benefit?
Sure. So one of my favorite stories is actually in Paris. We have a young girl who's a baker who hadn't been able to find a job as a pastry chef. She was looking and looking, and she ended up taking a 9-to-5 and working for a different company. And with Trip for Real, she's actually able to do what she loves, which is bake and show travelers the most authentic places in Paris for pastries. So she's able, as a young entrepreneur, to join the platform and to charge for her tour. She decides her price, and she can control the way that she does host on her free time.
I think that is absolutely fantastic. Now let's speak to, wait a minute, let me get my papers right. I'm sorry. Let's speak to Juan Ignacio of Cabify. Tell me something. You guys are your sector is a complete sector that's innovating all the time. There's a lot of negativity now with other cars. Explain to us exactly why Cabify is having so much success and why you guys are not having the problems that other car services are having.
Well, our focus has been from the very beginning to try to find innovation while fitting on the existing regulation, on the existing market, and trying to solve a pain that was there since a long time ago, but trying to fit in the community as it is. So that's why we have a platform that allows you to move in the city painlessly and easily, based on technology. Without the technology, we couldn't have been doing this. But we've also established a conversation, a dialogue with the regulatory authorities in the transportation segment in each of the countries where we operate. And that's been very important to enter in the establishment from the very beginning, to be able to scale the business easily and without friction.
You're in how many countries by now?
We've just opened in Colombia, so it's 5 countries now: Spain, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and Colombia.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now let's talk to Michael. Michael, I want you guys to speak a little bit louder. We need that Spanish flair so that the people at the end of the living room can hear us. Mike, can everybody hear? More or less? Okay, let's have our panel talk louder. Michael, tell me something. Amadeus, a Spanish company, worldwide, a big success. Tell us a little bit about the story, how it happened, how you guys grew. Where are you guys going?
Yeah, so its origins are in the late 80s. It's almost like a bad joke. A Spanish, German, a Swede, and a French walked into a room and said, hey, look what America's doing. There's a competitor out there called Sabre that has created an ecosystem to make it easier among airlines to purchase travel. Here in Europe, let's find something that allows us to compete. And that was the history. They each were part of the original shareholders. Long since then, we went public, we went private, and then as of 3 or 4 years ago, we are public again. And to give a perspective, we're in 195 countries. We handle some 700 million passengers that board different airlines. We work with some 200 airports, and we see about 3 billion searches monthly in terms of people looking to travel. So very large scale.
Which are the technological benefits of Amadeus compared to your other competitors, for example?
I think we have the largest scale. We have European data centers, which obviously, as of yesterday, carry some relevance in the industry. We have focus on multiple parts of the industry, not just travel agents and airlines, but inclusive of airports and hotels as well.
Perfect. And talk to us something that we all are very interested in. Big data, big data. Everybody's talking about big data. Tell us what Amadeus is doing with that.
Yeah, certainly. Sector. I mean, with the 1.4 billion daily data elements that we see, examples that are interesting are, look at Valentine's Day. So we see searches up to Valentine's Day. Rightfully and perhaps as we would guess, Paris is number one, about 5% of the global searches. What caught me by surprise was Las Vegas was number 3. So perhaps some of these relationships want to become marriages or divorces. We after they have Barcelona as number 5. So you really see interesting things that are trending. I think another example that will have a lot of empathy here in this room is the World Cup last year. So World Cup last year saw 6 times as many searches from Europe looking to travel to Brazil from the year before. From the United States, 13 times. So you have a heightened interest in football/soccer in America. But when it actually looked to bookings, the individuals that came from UK, 3 times more than the year before booked. Germany, 2 times as much. France, about 1.5 times as much. And perhaps this is an indicator of what happened to Spain, only 10% more bookings from Spain. Wow. So there wasn't as much people following Spain that actually went to Brazil compared to Germany, UK, and elsewhere.
Fantastic. We'll get back to that later because I think the big data is something that we're all very interested. Let's speak to Javier from EasyJet. Javier, tell us a little bit. You guys grew. You were are a success story. You're expanding. Tell us a little bit where you are, what your expansion plans are.
Well, I mean, we were really, a disruptor 20 years ago when we, were born. And then at that time, we had a vision around making air travel easy and affordable. If we look at technology in the aviation sector, actually, it looks like everything is about the aircraft. But if you really see the aircraft 20 years ago and the aircraft now, they are more or less the same, an aluminum tube, with wings and engines, and that's it. So actually, the way we see ourselves is really not as an airline, more as an e-commerce company that happen to fly airlines, in order to do that.
Because you have hotels as well, and you have many other things.
So technology, play a key part on that, and it's part of our DNA. And then we never agree on some, people, competing with us saying that actually low fares is equal to low service. We always believe that actually you could combine both and have low fares, make air transport affordable, and actually, let's face it, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, the first time I flew, it was really a luxury, and nowadays it's really something that is available to almost everyone. And that's a change, that we have be a key part of it, and we are really proud of.
You're an affordable luxury. That's my favorite word. Use
I like it.
That's what I am, affordable luxury. And tell me, give us a guess. How do you think flights will be in the future?
That's good, because I'm an aeronautical engineer. Nobody's perfect. So 20 years ago, when I was finishing my studies, then there were all kind of fancy, designs of how airplanes would be. Actually, yesterday we heard, very interesting thing with Hyperloop in terms of trains and so on. So actually, we are working on that. So we are working with Cranfield University and some, university guys to really try to get this design. But in any case, what we'll know is that air transport going forward will keep being easier and will keep being more affordable, and that's what we are into. And pretty much, it's not so much around the aircraft technology, it's around all the technology that is behind, especially having the consumer in mind. We are in an industry that was always very much technology focused in terms of aircraft, and now, hopefully, we are in an industry that is really consumer focused.
Tell us, your company, which is always innovative, and for me it's a reference, what other things are you looking at to do? Because you've gone into hotels, you have airplanes, and you have, is anything else in your portfolio?
I mean, we are looking, at a lot because, I mean, we really, even though we are 20 years old this year, we don't want to lose this innovative, spirit. So, I mean, things such as using 3D printing, for example, for replacing very easy, parts like an armrest, and actually you can then just turn the aircraft around and not having to wait for an engineer, so on and so forth. We are already testing the use of drones for doing inspection when you have a lightning strike, which is something that happens, quite frequently. We already, are doing things to make our app being easier. And then, I mean, let's face it, many of us fly frequently, but most of the people really fly perhaps once a year, twice a year. So then when they go to the airport, it's really something they don't know. So we are testing with Gatwick Airport, for example, a mobile host that actually is telling you every single time where you need to go in the airport, where is your boarding gate, where you need to go. So it's all, a whole range of initiatives, always having that in mind. Either it should make travel easier or make it affordable, or both.
Okay, thank you. Antonio, tell us more about the Spanish sector of innovation. Do you think we are a very big industry and we have to get our young entrepreneurs really going? What advice would you give them really to nowadays to start would you tell them to go into the hotel sector, the technological experiences? What would you give them give them an advice?
It's complicated. It's because tourism, it's a very cross-action sector. So we can act on very different sectors. We can act on hotels and destinations, on experiences, on how people feel when they come to Spain. So you have a huge number of opportunities to develop. For us, we advise them to develop something that it would be great for them. As you always say that you create room-make hotels because you want to do a hotel like you always been to. We say the same, as Trip for Real is the same. You just have to design a company or a service or a product that you would like to buy if you go to other country. And if you use technology to do it, if you are innovative in the proposal, then you are adding something very high value to the sector, to the whole sector in Spain. In fact, 3 weeks ago, I was in Israel. And when we hear Israel, we think about, wow, so entrepreneurial country. And they ask me to come to Spain, to help them to come to Spain because they think Spain is the perfect place to develop their projects, their services, their companies. And here we understand what the tourism sector is. So we are giving money to this kind of projects. In Israel, it seems that it's not that easy, at least for tourism.
Wow.
So it's
because many times I think, and many people come to me and say, I want to do this or I want to invent that, but they say, but I'm scared because there's so many in the market. And I say, are you giving extra value? Are you doing something different? No, I think Segittur, you really are looking at somebody who gives a twist of the edge. No,
we give that advice. We have here my team is already there. Say hello. That's my team. And they advise companies. We see so many people at the end of the day that we can now have a huge vision of what's going on there. So we know who's doing what, and we can even put them in contact so they can create something better. And we give them advice on how we see the scenario. And they have changed sometimes the ideas. They have made some change so they can be more prepared for the market. We, in fact, put them in contact with, if they are developing something for hotels, we put them in contact with hoteliers so they can check the service or the products. So we are helping people to do things in a better way.
That's very interesting. I think we should all help all the young entrepreneurs and the new ideas. We, from roommate side, we always try to help as well. Natalie, question that I love to ask all the entrepreneurs. Okay, when you have a good idea and you're in your own country or in your own city, and many times they ask me the horrible question, which I'm not going to ask you because I refuse, but they put it for me to ask you, is they ask me, when did you go international, for example? No, I think that's a horrible question and it should never be asked to anybody who's a real entrepreneur. If he doesn't think global since the beginning, I mean, he's really just getting a little bit of the cake. I would like to eat all the cake. So I started in my company, international. I say I went international since the moment I left Spain. But there's always a problem. How do you do it? In your company, Trip for Real, when you guys, because it's a fantastic, brilliant idea, how did you manage to solve the problems of going international? Since the beginning, how did you do that?
Sure. So this January, actually, we launched officially in different markets. Our first new market was London, Paris, and Rome. And now we're in Lisbon, Edinburgh, Amsterdam, and most recently, Berlin. It wasn't ever a question of were we going to go international? It was just a question of time. I mean, being from Barcelona is really an exceptional place, I think, to be a young entrepreneur and to grow your company. But right now, we're focused absolutely on building the brand and taking it on a global stage. When you're a travel company, it's not a question of can you go global? You have to go global. And the way that we're doing that is kind of a two-pronged approach. We realize that there's a lot of cultural sensitivities on the ground when we launch a new market, so we work with local ambassadors. These ambassadors help us in a number of different ways. They help us find new recruits, so they help us find the most creative budding entrepreneurs to become locals for Trip for Real. They also help us with word-of-mouth marketing to create a little bit of buzz and to tell their friends about what we're doing. So as we continue to grow, we really do rely a lot on our locals, not only because they're, the product and they're the ones that make up, they're the stars of Trip for Real, but also because they help us when they live the passion that we live every day. They're the ones that really help get the word out there.
Fantastic. Guys, I recommend Trip for Real, really. Listen, Michael, one quick question before we start going into the thing. How is it that Amadeus went into Cabify? I love the story of you guys investing in a company so different from yours, and it really helps. Listen, I'm in hotels. Would you like to invest in me?
She's right there, Susanna, a colleague of mine for Amadeus Ventures.
Okay.
So if you look at the last 5 years, you look at Uber, you look at Move It, you look at Waze, you look at Hotel Tonight, and you look at Cabify. What's in common? Well, one, they're only mobile. Two, they were only here as of 3 or 5 years ago. They're brand new. Three, they're disrupting the market. Why? Because these are companies looking at the traditional supply and demand curve, and they're realizing consumers are demanding alternative supply. So Waze was built because people were tired of congested roads and wanted alternative routes that was crowdsourced. Hotel Tonight wanted to be able to have a mechanism to look for last-minute distressed hotel inventory. So Cabify and Uber similarly saw, hey, there are challenges in municipalities that are only using taxis. I think Cabify's strengths, and I'm sure you can answer this yourselves, are working very closely with municipalities, cities, with the taxis, as well as the black cars and private drivers. So our astute colleagues at Amadeus Ventures saw this trend and said, hey, we'd like to take a part of this, an equity investment, to learn side by side, particularly in markets that are both European and Latin America, what are cultural differences, what are consumer differences, and how can we benefit with this knowledge to adapt to our core strengths as Amadeus by kind of sitting vicariously as investors.
Fantastic. If you guys, let's start a quick round. Give me to summarize what we have. We are Spain. Second, first motor of the economy is tourism. Why, a quick reflection from your perspective, why is it that in Spain, apart from Amadeus and a few other big companies, why do we not have a leading technology in tourism sector? Two.
Shall I begin? Okay.
Loud.
Maybe we are not a reference now, but I'm pretty sure we will be in 10 years, because there are a lot of interesting projects in the tourism sector as well as in others. Why we are not now? I would probably link it to the whole economy. I mean, we're not a referent in technology in any kind of vertical. So tourism, even if it's a very important part of our GDP, it's not an exception of that. I think we've started, that whole technology hype and thing is very new here in Spain. We're doing a lot of good progress in the last 5 years, and I'm pretty sure that given that tourism is our key strength, probably in 10 years we will have top companies in the area.
Javier, what do you think?
Well, I have a theory, because Spain has been always big in tourism, but pretty much as a destination. So I think we really lived out of it, for a long, long time, and we thought, it was for the origins to really choose, so we just trust on the Sun and Beach model for too long. But I think right now things are changing. I really like, the initiative around the smart destination, which is a destination can do much more to really be attractive than just, having nice beaches, nice hotels, and so on. So in that, technology is playing a part. So my hope is that actually, this is changing, but we've been living, out of, the good destination and the good, things that Sun and Beach was giving us, and there was not enough efforts.
Perfect. Antonio, quick.
I agree with them because, as I told you, things has been changing a lot, very rapidly in these 4 years. And in fact, Amadeus and Segittur are now developing the first initiative worldwide in multi-destination, multimodality tickets. So we are leading that technology in the world.
Good.
So I think Spain has changed a lot, and it's going to change more.
Good. Natalie, what do you think?
I think it's all about changing perceptions a little bit as well. I think talking about this sun and drinking culture that a lot of people have associated Spain with a long time, you have to open it up and really offer more experiences. And the tourist is very smart. We always say at Trip for Real, we're travelers, not tourists, because the traveler wants to go one step beyond.
Correct.
And they want to discover more. And I think that in Spain, I can say this because I'm an American Spanish, I come from both cultures, and I think that there's so much to offer, and it's really about opening those doors to more travelers and marketing ourselves as more than just a destination to, go get a nice tan. And I think that everyone on this stage is aware of that, and I think that all of you are too. So I think it's a lot about the image that we project on the global scale.
Michael?
Maybe I'm the newbie, but I don't necessarily see this. In August in Madrid, yeah, sure. But if you go anywhere else, Ibiza, Mallorca, any of the San Sebastian north, it's very well populated. I think they've marketed themselves incredibly nicely. And you talk to colleagues at Airbnb and even the folks who run couch surfing, full saturation. It's impossible to find a hotel room or a couch. So I think that some parts of Spain have done very well. Others can improve for sure.
Come first. Okay. Listen, thank you for the panel. Before we leave, I would like, we have 6 minutes of questions. So guys, take advantage of our fantastic panel. Raise your hands. Whoever wants to do a question, we have one at the end.
Well, bearing in mind that this is a full house, we can even have 10 minutes of questions.
Okay,
so
perfect.
Take advantage.
Wonderful. Take
Go
advantage.
ahead.
We have one at the very end.
We only have one microphone, though. So.
Okay. Guys, think about some interesting questions. You're going to rarely have this panel. I'm like a juggler.
Hello?
Okay. Hello.
Hi. This is a question in particular for Natalie and Juan Ignacio. Could you elaborate a bit more on how do you find your ambassadors in the new countries, and what incentives do you offer? How do you do that?
That's a really good question. We look for ambassadors everywhere. We have, of course, there's so much that we have to do online and social media forums and building the brand and making sure that, our voice is everywhere so that people are interested in Trip for Real. We do have a product acquisition team who's responsible for the majority of recruitment, both for new local guides and for ambassadors. When it comes to incentive, it's a varied approach. We absolutely put our ambassadors on our experiences. So if you like photography or you like art or you like food, then there's tons of perks because there's your social calendar. You can go do a Trip for Real, meet new people, take pictures. It's also really great for aspiring writers and for photographers because we will give you photo credit if we publish your work, and you can be published on the blog as well and in press. So there's a lot of incentives for people that are creative that want to play a part.
Okay, next question.
Hi, thanks for the panel. It was really interesting. I've got a question for Segittur. Is there going to be an edition this year?
We've had 2, 3. You have Anna right behind, in front of you. We've had, I think, 3, 4 editions this year, but I think we have no time. We are running out of time to make a new one for this year, but next year we will have a new one, of course.
Okay.
With more money.
Hopefully.
Hello. Hi. Well, I want to congratulate Natalie. I love Trip for Real. I think it's a great idea to travel and know the places with the locals. And congrats to everyone. It was very interesting for Sarasola. But my question is for Juan Antonio. Which are the next steps in Segittur about the smart cities?
Well, we just published the norm, the first norm on smart destinations worldwide. We are proving it now, and the next steps is convince destinations to improve this norm. And using the funds from the European Commission, I think it's going to be easy because the funds from the European Union deals on innovation and technologies. And when we talk about smart destination, we talk about innovation and new technologies. So I think next year will be a very different year to start. And the next 4 years until 2020, we will see not a few smart destinations in Spain, but Spain as a huge smart destination. And that opens a huge number of opportunities for private sector and public sector to develop things and to create Spanish technology to export worldwide. Okay. That's our aim.
Thank you. One more question on that side. Anybody else?
I have a very specific and personal question. I have been father 2 months ago, and I want to know how do the travel tech is going to help me in the future? You know, the families, the kids. Do you know any project about this?
Let me tell you, last year I went to the Dublin Web Summit in Dublin. You know, it's the biggest one in the world. And there was a huge sector only about infants, education, flying with children, how you take care of them. And I think it's that one, education. And medical, everything to do with the medical side is going to have a huge upcome and in the future. I think right now there's not so many things, but there's many things here. Actually, there was 5 stands of education and things for children. Guys, one more question, the last one. Anybody else? Here there's a question, I think. This young lady.
Hi. Hello. Hi. So, okay, this may be a stupid suggestion, I don't know, but do you see for Cabify, for example, a feature? Okay, sorry. So do you see for Cabify, for example, a future in perhaps partnering up with like companies like Amadeus, for example?
No,
like
they are already. They are.
They are already. Oh, you are already. Okay,
they
sorry.
invested.
I was not informed about
the next one they're going to invest is in me.
Okay, so basically, on Amadeus you can order a cab, yes?
Of course, like, always. An entrepreneur has always have to be fishing for money.
That's a fair question. So we were a financial investor historically, and to your point, more poignantly, we're now working on an implementation to get their content into our global distribution system. So we're working on both lenses.
Okay. I think it makes perfect sense for apps to partner up because if a customer likes something, then he will order whatever you find on that app. If you want to order a flight and a car and a hotel at the same place that you like, then that's perfect value for the customer. And
so you're going to open it to your user base too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At the same time, I think that Cabify and Trip for Real, they can even develop joint products so they can give an experience to someone that visits the city and using Cabify to move around.
Flies EasyJet, stays in roommate.
So we can, that's what we do. That's what
Here we go.
That's what we do in Spain. In Spain.info, we are creating, we are helping entrepreneurs and companies to create these synergies between them so they can create very added value products to tourists and they can buy directly through the web. So that's it.
And just to add to that, actually, is, you know, I think when you're a startup and you're in this kind of humble phase of development, it's so important to be open-minded to any sort of venture, to any sort of collaboration. And I would welcome you, because I'm sure there's so many creatives and business minds here in this room. If you have any ideas for Trip for Real for any of us, I think it's great to just kind of pop us a line and let us know what you think, because we're open to feedback and we want to grow.
Absolutely. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, my panel. It's been a fun time, and thank you very much.